Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are making a single serving of delicious fresh pasta. Don't worry, we're not using any fancy equipment. All you'll need is a rolling pin. And I also have a great little hack for making a single serving of creamy sauce that does not require you to open any jars or cans, so you won't have any leftovers. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome. Come on in. Make yourself comfortable. I love a single serving because I feed just myself all the time. So if you are someone who's cooking for one, or maybe you and one other person, make sure you hit subscribe because I think you'll like a lot of what we got going on over here. Now I know what you're thinking, Claire, why would I make my own fresh pasta? Pasta is very affordable and very accessible and very easy to make. Why on earth would I make my own? Well, because it's fun. And also I think that when you put a little work, a little care into your lunch, you're more likely to eat it and less likely to go through the drive-thru. Anyway, for me, I get excited about trying new things. I love making fresh pasta because I feel very fancy. I feel like a chef when I have made my own pasta. I like it. It's fun. If you've never tried it, you should. If you haven't done it in a while, you should give it a go. And the recipe couldn't be easier. You probably won't even need to write it down because all you need is flour, half a cup of flour for one serving, and 1 egg. I am gonna sprinkle a little sea salt in there, and if you wanna get fancy, you could throw some seasonings and stuff in your pasta dough. I'm gonna save the flavorings for our little sauce that we are going to be making, but that is the basic recipe. Half a cup of flour, 1 egg. Let's make this pasta. Like I said, you just need half a cup. And of course, if you want to make double the recipe, double the ingredients. Use 1 cup of flour and 2 eggs. Make a little well. Crack the egg inside. Honestly, people will be very impressed with you if you whip out some fresh pasta. I also am throwing just a little dash of sea salt in there. And now I'm going to stab the yolk, and we're just gonna slowly incorporate the flour in. A great thing about this too is that it doesn't require like a ton of kneading. This is not a loaf of bread. So like, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. I'm a dog groomer. That's like my real life job. And it's very hard on your hands, and I'm starting to lose a lot of strength in my hands. And so I have a hard time kneading anything by hand these days. And I find that I can still make pasta. It does not require a lot out of you, which is nice. It looks like it is difficult, but it's not. All right, once it gets to this sort of like wet but crumbly texture, I'm coming in with my bench scraper here, but you don't need to use one. You could just use your hands, but this helps sort of cut it in a little bit. There we go. All right, and now it's time to knead, but like I said, not a lot, okay? Probably about 90 seconds, 2 minutes. You basically just want it to be completely combined. And you'll see, it'll firm up a little bit. It'll make sense. Get all the bits with my hands. If it's like getting super duper sticky, you can add a little bit of flour to it, but you know, don't add too much because you don't want it to be like too dense. As you work with it more, it'll firm up and be less sticky. This took about 2 minutes. It's a little bit elastic, but not, you know, not like a bread dough. Again, we didn't knead it and develop all that gluten insanely like you would a loaf of bread. But now we just need to let it rest. So I'm just gonna kind of push it out into a little pancake here. And we're gonna want this to rest for half an hour. So I know this does require a little bit of patience, but it's going to be worth it. And of course, I don't want it to dry out, so I am gonna just put it in a little plastic wrap. There we go. All right, you guys, it's been half an hour. It's time to roll out our dough. And you're just gonna need a little bit of flour because it will want to stick to itself. So you're gonna want some flour, but other than that, all you need is a rolling pin, or I don't know, a wine bottle, or if you have a pasta roller, which I actually do have one, like an old crank one, I got it at the thrift store, you can also be real fancy and use one of those. I'm not gonna get it out today. I'm not making that much pasta. It's just me here. I'm gonna roll it out by hand. One thing to note with fresh pasta is that if you want it to go really thin, you don't want there to be too much flour, because if it doesn't have anything to stick to, it will shrink. And that's also why we let it rest, because then you'll have less shrinkage as well. So having just a little bit of it stick to the surface is actually going to be helpful. So don't use too much flour during the rollout process. All right, she's nice and thin. And now I'm going to cut it with a pizza cutter. Like I said, we're not doing anything fancy here. I'm just gonna cut little strips. I'm not measuring. This is going to be a rustic homemade pasta. I find that when I make pasta, I want it to look homemade, because then people are way more impressed. I feel way better about myself if it looks homemade. If I didn't want it to look homemade, then I would just buy some pasta, you know what I mean? Here we go, any super thick ones I'll cut in half. There we go. Looks amazing. Now I'm gonna throw a little flour on there so they don't all stick together. And I'm gonna use my scraper to peel them up. But you can use, you know, spatula, whatever you have. This pasta is beautiful, okay? We did not even have to try that hard. And the other thing that's great is that it takes only a couple minutes in boiling water. You don't even have to wait the like 8 or 9 it takes for like dried pasta. Fresh pasta cooks so fast. I already have my water boiling. I'm just gonna pop it in there. I'm not even kidding. It's gonna take like 2 minutes. Oh my goodness, look at these noodles. Come on, this is about to be so tasty. All right, our pasta is just about done, and I'm actually going to reserve some of the pasta water. It's not gonna be as starchy as like pasta from a box, but pasta water is a great and like free way to start a sauce, because you were just gonna dump that down the drain anyway. So we're gonna save some of that, and now I'm gonna drain the pasta. Now I'm gonna put together our sauce. And the way to make a nice creamy sauce is cream cheese. It works every time, and you don't need very much of it. A little goes a long way. I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 tablespoons of cream cheese into my pan. And to this, I am going to add some of our pasta water, like 2 tablespoons. I've got it on medium-high heat. I'm just stirring it around as that cheese sort of melts in, makes a nice little sauce. That water's gonna evaporate a little, leaving the rest of the starch from the pasta, which is exactly what we want. As far as seasonings go, I'm just gonna hit it with a little pepper. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of salt and some parsley flakes, but you could really do way more than this if you wanted, but I'm keeping it super simple today. Now you could totally just let this sauce thicken up and use that with your pasta and be done with it. However, this is gonna be my lunch and I need to eat some vegetables. So I'm going to add some frozen peas, and because they're frozen, I'm gonna add them into my sauce, and they can sort of like thaw and cook a little bit with the sauce. I find that peas are so good in this sort of situation, but if you're not a pea fan, you can add a different frozen vegetable, or I don't know, throw in some zucchini from your garden. Maybe if you have like a can of something that you have to use up, or your leftovers from the night before. I'm very into making it work with what you got. So I'm using just a few frozen peas, but you could skip that if you didn't want the veggie part, but I kind of need to eat more veggies, so that's what I'm doing. I am gonna add 1/4 cup of these. These will really cook very quickly. Last minute, right before I just put that together, I decided I needed some fresh chives, so I'm going out to the garden. And yeah, this is a good garden meal, garden pasta. Whatever kind of herbs you have going on, we're just gonna throw these on top. All right, we have our sauce. It is done. The peas are nice and tender. And now I'm just going to add my pasta in there and swirl it all around. Come on, you can't tell me that I don't look like a real chef right now. I mean, you see, it's really nicely coated. It smells delicious. And because I think a little Parmesan goes a long way, I also picked up a little bit of Parm this week at the grocery store. We're just gonna throw a little bit of that on top. These are my chives. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful this is. Fresh, homemade pasta for one with a delicious creamy sauce. Of course, now it's time to test it out. It's lunchtime. Tender yet slightly chewiness of a homemade noodle. So good. It's definitely gonna keep me super full as well. This is a really nice, like, hefty portion as well. All right, you guys, there you go. Fresh pasta for one with a super simple creamy sauce. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below, have you ever made your own pasta? Is this something you do in your family? Growing up, we never made our own pasta. That's not something we ever did. But now that I've done it quite a lot, I find it to be really fun, and my children also think it's cool too. If you want to see me explore some more pasta options, I do have, like I said, like the manual pasta roller. Maybe we could try to make our own raviolis, or maybe like, I don't know, pasta-y things like a pierogi. I don't know. These are ideas that I'm having. So if you're into that, let me know. Of course, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I will also leave a link to my playlist down below that has like all of my single serving recipes in there. So if you are in the mood for a binge, I will leave it for you down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.